as embarrassing as this has been for Sean Payton and to a certain extent Russell Wilson, although his numbers are pretty good, this is going to be, it's going to get even worse before it gets better for Denver. And tonight is going to be another step down the ladder.
Ooh, well, here's the thing. They played them really, really close twice last year. Russ had huge games. They were behind, and they came back and made them both into games, which was unusual. The Broncos were terrible last year. If this is a close game, all they have to do is keep it close. We're going to say, okay, there's hope there with Denver. I feel like that is – I feel like Denver –
moral victory?
I feel like Denver could come away with either a win or a moral victory tonight. As long as they don't lose 70-20. We've lowered the bar for Sean Payton and the Broncos so badly. I don't think
they don't lose by 50.
So they've kept the
Silver
last
lining.
3 games within a touchdown against the Chiefs. I think people are going to be surprised. Everyone's going, "Oh, Denver's not that bad." They're going to lose by 6, and everyone's going to be like, "Denver's not that bad," which is so funny because that's where we are with Sean Payton. This is all of a sudden gone to like everyone knows this is one of the bad teams in the NFL.
I mean, I guess the question now, I disagree with you. I actually think they're going to lose. Like, I think that what you're seeing from this team is not just that the roster is bad, but they just seem like they're demoralized. Like, there's all this stuff in the ether about, guys being sold off and what's going to happen before the trade deadline. They already moved Randy Gregory. Maybe that's addition by subtraction. He's never been known to be like this solid locker room guy. But I think that this is not like a feisty really team.
No.
I don't see that grit. I don't see a team that's like, you know what, we're just going to really hold this thing together. Like the Jets could have handed them that game a million different ways and they couldn't even take it last week. I think this is an embarrassing night tonight for the Broncos. And then the question becomes like, just sell the thing off, sell it for parts. Like at this point, the season, like no one's reputation is going to get patched up this season. If Sean Payton is really going to be a thing in Denver, and whether that's with Russell Wilson or not, that's not a this year thing. That's a regroup in the offseason thing.
Sean Payton got a lemon. He got a bad product. He got an apple that was rotten to the core, and it's 100% the players. I'm sorry. I've decided it's 0 on Sean Payton. 0.0. Because if you're going to blame Sean Payton, you have to blame the last 5 coaches. They've had the same exact problem. Complete lack of effort from their wide receivers. Again, unbelievable. Now your defense is completely stopped trying. I think the Broncos defense actually puts a little effort in tonight because everyone's watching. I mean, you saw the end of the Jets game. They just were like, nah, we don't want to tackle. We're fine. So I think actually they do try hard tonight, which has been the problem. You always blame the coach for that. But, I mean, this is the 5th coach in 5 years or something crazy, and same exact problems. So at a certain point, they just put together a bad roster of bad character players.
No, I think that as much as Sean Payton could be the future in Denver, he's got to wear this for how bad the team and how lifeless they've looked at times because he's the head coach. I know he's on the offensive side of the ball, but he's still the head coach, which means he's responsible for everyone. He's getting paid a king's ransom. They all, not just money, they also traded draft picks to get him, including a first rounder. They are so invested in Payton specifically to change the culture, not just the X's and O's. He came in, he started talking tough. He's calling out other coaches like Nathaniel Hackett. And this whole season has been one big karmic disaster for him. It's like everything's coming back and blowing up right in his face. I think that Sean Payton has to wear this. Whether he does full, like in the future, I don't think they're going to move on from him. But this year is a big blow for him.
They have to get rid of everybody and start over. And you can find Sean Payton can wear it all he wants. It doesn't matter. The same problem is here. You have players who just do not try at football.
Yeah,
and no coach is going to get through to them. So get rid of them. They got to fire everybody. They got to get rid of Judy, number 1 priority. They got to cut everybody on the defense except Patrick Surtain. Start with 10 new players. And they need to find...
It's like a Deion Sanders situation. You just need to overhaul the entire roster.
Yeah, you need to bring in
70
transfers. You definitely need a new training staff because you've been the most injured team in the league 2 years in a row. You need somehow a miracle for Tim Patrick to help. You just need everybody. You need all new players. I'm sorry, Sean Payton's going nowhere with this group. I think the real important question here is: Do you need Russell Wilson? That's the only real problem is this Russell Wilson contract. If he didn't have this massive salary cap hit, you could just start all over next year. Build the Saints 2.0. Just get rid of all these guys who've been losing now every year since they were in the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning.
Okay, but I think that's another thing that falls on Sean Payton. If he's going to have his hand in roster building, he already coached a team where a quarterback was highly paid every year, and Drew Brees
But
was
he didn't-
always one of the highest paid, and he was still able to get a lot from the roster. And so it's like, of course, it's like, this is why we all thought Sean Payton was a match made in heaven for Denver. It's like shorter quarterbacks, check, we can make that work. A quarterback
Right.
that's highly paid, maybe have a bit of an ego, check, got that high, and we have that. A guy who maybe, should understand that the defense actually is important, because that was the one year they were actually able to win the Super Bowls when the defense in New Orleans, where the defense was really represented. Like, all these things, these boxes, it made such good sense on paper, but it's not working out now.
Wait, if it did you pick the Broncos to make the playoffs?
Well, the only reason why I didn't
Well,
is
you're
because
not-
the rest of the AFC I thought was really good. And the other thing.
That sounded like a yes/no question, and I'm not hearing yes or no.
Okay, I did not pick the Broncos to make the playoffs, but I also didn't pick the Chargers to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So there's other teams I thought that could be good and have good offenses that didn't make the playoffs.
What are you, a corporate executive on 60 Minutes? Why was that so hard to answer? What is
Did
going
you pick them to make the
No,
playoffs?
of course not.
Well, here's the other thing, too. How many games did they win last year? 6?
5.
5, okay.
He took over a 5-win team. And guess what? He has 5-win players all over that roster.
Okay, he was there when they went through free agency and spent boatloads of money. He was in the building for that, presumably signed off on everybody, so he has to wear it. It's not like he just parachuted in before week 1 and now coaches this team where he didn't pick the groceries and has to cook the meal, as Parcells used to say. But here's why, the other reason why I didn't pick them to make the playoffs. So you're a 5-win team last year. It's rare to go from like 5 wins to 9 wins. Like, usually you need a little bit of a stepping stone. And the Broncos are going backwards. If they won 5 games this year, that'd be a minor miracle considering how they're playing right now.
Okay, that might be true. That's fair, but the truth is he has to start over. You're going to see it tonight. Watch the defensive backfield when a guy catches a ball, an 8-yard pass. Just watch how bad they are taking angles to tackle. There's nothing any coach in America can do about this. They had really good coaches that have been through that building in the last 6 years or whatever since Peyton Manning, and none of them have been able to fix this. Honestly, if you're going to blame somebody, look at that GM.
Yeah, but we don't know this guy. George Payton, he's kind of a faceless, sort of dude. Not faceless. He's got a good reputation in the league, obviously, but fans don't know to point the finger at him.
But it's his team more than Sean Payton's team. I think Sean Payton deserves a pass. The other thing, too, you say that this is going to be a blowout. Do we know that Kansas City is Kansas City? I mean, they do not look like that Chiefs offense I've seen the last few years under Mahomes.
Looks like Travis Kelce is going to play. Now, I would ask you, do you need Travis Kelce to beat the Broncos?
Honestly,
I don't know.
I'm not sure your offense is even better than the Broncos. Yeah, I think they have the same exact numbers. Kansas City's very mortal this year. I mean, if they look good on offense at any given game, maybe getting rid of all those receivers is finally catching up to them a little bit. To me, there's 2 great narratives tonight. If Kansas City does not blow them out, everyone's going to say, oh my God, Kansas City's so pedestrian on offense. And also, if Denver gets close, I think that we're going to fool ourselves into thinking, okay, Sean Payton's getting somewhere. But you think it's going to be a blowout. So it's going to be more Barry, Sean Payton.
I don't think the Broncos want that smoke. Can we listen to Sean Payton, please, Pete? Talking about the Broncos, they have fielded calls from other teams in the league about their roster.
George and I talk every day, 3-4 times a day. We're not looking to do business with any of our players. That doesn't prevent teams from calling at times, and so, you pick the phone up, but that's kind of where it's at.
I mean, why wouldn't they? You traded Von Miller 2 years ago. You traded Bradley Chubb last year. Why wouldn't people think that your roster is available for the picking, whatever you want? I mean, I'd be calling about Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, the reports are that he's the one guy who's untouchable.
Yeah, shocker. Also, I love it when they say, we're just picking up the phone. It's like, translation, we've called every team in the league twice.
Definitely.
They're calling us, like, wink, wink.
What would you get for Jerry Jeudy, a 6th-round pick?
Not much.
Would you do that if you were the Broncos? I definitely would.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting Randy Gregory, they had to attach a 7th-round pick to Gregory to get a 6th-round pick back. Like, we're not talking about massive trade assets here unless it's Surtain, who might get a 1st-round pick.
You know how I feel about these guys, too. I don't feel like that's a tank move either. To get rid of a Jerry Jeudy, I think you might secretly win a game or 2 and hurt your draft chance. I think it's addition by subtraction. Just like the Sixers trying to get rid of James Harden. I don't think you're not tanking by trading these guys because they're not doing anything.